Pardon the interruption, but I'm Frank Isola. It's Global Forgiveness Day, Tony. Who do you think deserves forgiveness?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Please forgive me for what I'm about to do to you in What's the Word? Yeah, routed. You'll be routed in What's the Word?
Coming in strong.
Well, I mean, it's not like with Wilbon, who went to a fancy private school. You and I both went to public school. It's an even playing field, right? Public school. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Wilbon couldn't make it to Tuesday, so I am joined by our great friend from the starting lineup on Sirius XM, Mr. Frank Isola.
There we go. The U.S. must
and we
be out.
begin today with last night's 4-1 drubbing of the United States World Cup team by Belgium. This is the same Belgian team that beat the United States 5-2 in a friendly in Atlanta a couple of months before the World Cup. Even the presence of Folarin Balogun, I hope I get that right, couldn't stop this rout. Frank, what did you see last night, and how does this disappointing finish affect how you see the United States' overall performance in this World Cup?
Yeah, you said disappointing. It's discouraging. I think ultimately it became a little embarrassing, some of the things that happened in the second half of that game. You know, and I think if you go back to everything surrounding Balogun being allowed to play, to me that kind of removed a lot of the good vibes surrounding this team. You're getting the White House involved with FIFA. It's a bad look because you know this, Tony. The American way is to kind of be the underdog. And I think if we went into this game as the underdog with that kind of attitude, I think that would have helped us. Belgium went into that game with an underdog attitude, and they're better than us to begin with. And, Tony, they had players on the bench like Kevin De Bruyne, who might be the greatest player in their history, didn't even play. They brought on guys who were great players in the 70th minute. They were just a better team. And if you look at what happened in the first minute, they come out, the goalkeeper for the U.S., Matt Freese, has to make a great save. And right away you're thinking, wow, we don't look like we're ready to play. And sure enough, we weren't. We fall behind 1-0. Then even after Tillman scored that great goal off the free kick, after the restart, we give up a goal 52 seconds later, which, by the way, Tony, came off of a turnover from Christian Pulisic. So everything, the 4 goals that we gave up, first 2 defensive lapses, last 2 mental lapses, all the good vibes we built up, all the good play, it disappeared on one night in Seattle.
So let me ask you a question. I'm going to go off script here completely. I'll get back to my notes later. But you raised an interesting point. If they hadn't played him, if they said you're not going to play or played him as a sub, if they hadn't started him, do you think that would have changed anything? Would that be a strategy you would think about?
I think he was always going to play because I think the manager, Mauricio Pochettino, looked at it as he's eligible to play. He's been our best goal scorer. He's going to play. But had the suspension stood, I do think our attitude would have been a lot different. Would have had a bit of a fighting spirit. We didn't have that last night. You watched it. Did we look flat all 90 minutes or what?
It's hard for me because I don't know anything about soccer. So I mean, what I look at here is that this is the round we always go out in.
That's right.
The last 4 times we've made the World Cup, we have gone out in this round. We lost to a team that we always lose to. The only European team that we ever beat is Bosnia. Like we don't beat Belgium. You know, we had the...
I'm still trying to process what happened last night as the U.S. soccer team fell to Belgium in the World Cup. I mean, it's not like we didn't see it coming, but still, it's disappointing. As I watched the game, I couldn't help but think about what could have been. The U.S. team had some great moments, but ultimately, they just couldn't keep up with Belgium's skill and strategy. I think one of the most interesting aspects of this game was the controversy surrounding Folarin Balogun's eligibility to play. I mean, it's not every day that you see a player's eligibility be questioned, and then have the White House get involved. It's a bit unprecedented, to say the least. But, as Frank Isola pointed out, if Balogun hadn't played, would it have made a difference? Would the U.S. team have had a different attitude, a different fighting spirit? As I listened to Frank's analysis, I couldn't help but agree with him. The U.S. team did look flat, and they just couldn't seem to get anything going. And when they did, it was quickly snuffed out by Belgium's defense. I mean, it's not like the U.S. team didn't have their chances, but they just couldn't capitalize on them. But, as Tony Kornheiser pointed out, this is the round that the U.S. team always seems to go out in. I mean, it's like they're stuck in some kind of never-ending cycle. They make it to the World Cup, they get to this round, and then they just can't seem to get past it. It's frustrating, to say the least. And, as Tony said, it's not the US team has a great track record against European teams. I mean, they've only beaten one European team, Bosnia, and that's it. So, maybe it's not surprising that they lost to Belgium. But still, it's hard not to feel a sense of disappointment. As I watched the game, I couldn't help but think about the what-ifs. What if the US team had started stronger? What if they had been able to capitalize on their chances? What if they had been able to hold on to their lead? But, as we all know, what-ifs don't count for much in sports. I think what's interesting is that the US team's loss is not just about the game itself, but about the bigger picture. I mean, soccer is not a sport that's deeply ingrained in American culture, unlike the NFL, for example. So, when the US team loses, it's not just about the team, it's about the sport as a whole. As Tony said, it's not our game. And, as much as I love watching soccer, I have to agree with him. I mean, the NFL is a much bigger deal in the US, and it's hard to compete with that. But, still, it's hard not to feel a sense of pride and loyalty to the US soccer team. I mean, they're our team, and we want them to succeed. As I look back on the game, I'm reminded of the importance of perseverance and determination. I mean, the US team may not have won, but they still gave it their all. And, as Frank pointed out, they had some great moments. They just couldn't sustain it. I think what's also interesting is the dynamic between Frank and New York. I mean, they're both passionate about sports, but they have different perspectives. Frank is more of a soccer expert, while Tony is more of a general sports commentator. So, when they discuss the game, it's like a back-and-forth conversation. They challenge each other, they agree with each other, and they provide different insights. As I listened to their conversation, I couldn't help but think about the importance of having different perspectives. I mean, when we're discussing something, it's easy to get caught up in our own opinions and biases. But, when we're forced to consider other perspectives, it can be really eye-opening. And, I think that's what makes their conversation so interesting. I think what's also worth noting is the role of the media in shaping our perceptions of sports. I mean, the way that the game is presented, the way that the teams are covered, it all plays a role in how we think about the game. And, I think that's something that Frank and Tony touched on. I mean, they talked about the soccer poets, and how they can be a bit over the top in their analysis. As I look back on the game, I'm reminded of the importance of keeping things in perspective. I mean, it's just a game, right? But, at the same time, it's not just a game. It's a reflection of our culture, our values, and our priorities. And, I think that's what makes sports so fascinating. I think what's also interesting is the way that sports can bring people together. I mean, when we're watching a game, we're all united in our excitement and our disappointment. And, I think that's something that Frank and Tony captured in their conversation. I mean, they're both passionate about sports, and they're both passionate about discussing them. As I listened to their conversation, I couldn't help but think about the importance of community. I mean, when we're talking about sports, we're not just talking about the game itself, we're talking about the people who are watching it, the people who are playing it, and the people who are commenting on it. And, I think that's what makes sports so powerful. I think what's also worth noting is the role of leadership in sports. I mean, the coach, the players, they all play a role in shaping the team's strategy and attitude. And, I think that's something that Frank and Tony touched on. I mean, they talked about the US team's coach, and how he made certain decisions that may or may not have affected the outcome of the game. As I look back on the game, I'm reminded of the importance of accountability. I mean, when we're talking about sports, we're not just talking about the game itself, we're talking about the people who are responsible for the team's performance. And, I think that's something that Frank and Tony captured in their conversation. I mean, they're both holding the US team accountable for their performance, and they're both trying to understand what went wrong. I think what's also interesting is the way that sports can be a reflection of our society. I mean, the way that the game is played, the way that the teams are composed, it all reflects our values and our priorities. And, I think that's something that Frank and Tony touched on. I mean, they talked about the US team's diversity, and how it reflects the diversity of American society. As I listened to their conversation, I couldn't help but think about the importance of representation. I mean, when we're talking about sports, we're not just talking about the game itself, we're talking about the people who are playing it, and the people who are watching it. And, I think that's what makes sports so powerful. They have the ability to bring people together, to inspire us, and to reflect our values and our priorities.